Hey guys, Philip Shadler here, local real estate agent in Los Angeles, and we want to look at the market. Is this a great housing crash or what? I mean, I don't really see a crash, but a lot of people are talking about it. It's definitely a slowdown. But let's see what the market is doing right now. So if you go on by WTC News, 6 year following 6 month slowdown, the home sale boom may be finally over, August 22nd. This is very true. There's definitely a downward trend going on. However, there is still overbidding going on in some areas. Now, overcharged areas definitely have seen a slowdown or a price reduction. We talked about that in the last video. And these, let's see, for example, here, US cities are running out of homes, in Yahoo News says. And what cities are running out of room? This is interesting because San Jose, California is one. 70% of vacant homes have equity. Fort Collins is another one. Manchester, New Hampshire, Provo, Utah, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. These are all places where there is no more homes. So they're running out of room. Where is everybody buying these homes from, and what are they doing? This is really interesting to me. Let's look at Altos Research. These guys are always great, and see what kind of data they have. Now, what we've seen here is weekly new inventory, single family residential. So let's go back to my report real quick. Inventory has slowed down. Fewer sellers put their homes on the market. They don't have to. Think about it. Homes on the market due to strong financial position. So the reason is they have a very affordable mortgage because most likely they refinanced, and have high equity in the home, so they don't have to sell. So what we're seeing here is a decline of new listings. New listings slowed way down since July. You can see that right here. This was before, and now it is up here. So it has definitely come down. This is previous and this is now. So this is interesting. Also in August, usually there is a lull in August because it's summertime, people are in school, so it may not be the best time to sell a house. Maybe you have to do a discount to sell it quickly. But this is interesting that the inventory is now shrinking again. It was growing, but it seems to be slowing down. Now, let's look at active inventory, projected single-family homes. Again, this is single-family homes only, no condominiums, not including townhouses and condominiums, only single-family homes. So Altos Research believes, and I kind of agree with them, that we kind of reached a peak of active inventory, 580,000. So we did have a increase, but this trend here, this was kind of what they suspected about a month ago, and they were actually quite on par on here. And if that trend continues that we're seeing now, that less people are putting their homes on the market, then we may see a decline in homes inventory, and this could mean that by the end of 2022 we may be at 500,000 single-family homes, maybe even less. Now think about it. If we're in the $400,000 range, what does that do to the market next year in 2023? It might slightly increase the prices again. It's not for sure. Again, don't quote me on this, but this data would suggest that if we have 400,000 homes only on the market, which is something that's possible at the end of the year since the inventory is shrinking now, it's very possible likelihood. Price reduction have also plateaued. So this also indicates, again, it's interesting, some areas, supercharged areas, which we have it, let me see where we did have the data for that. Let's see, here it is. So these cities here, for example, are all what's known as supercharged areas. Actually, I'm going to be in Boise, Idaho next week, or the end of Sunday, and I'm taking a ride up there. 73% overvalued. These are overvalued. Austin, Texas, Ogden, Utah, Las Vegas, Nevada, Atlanta, Georgia, Phoenix, Arizona, Provo, Fort Myers, Spokane, Salt Lake City, Charlotte, Lakeland, Tampa, Raleigh, and Detroit, Michigan. So these are all overvalued housing markets which will see and are seeing currently a price reduction. However, if you just look at this one here, for example, this house in Malibu just sold in 14 days, $405,000 above asking price. So this is still happening. And let's see what is happening in the Bay Area, because what these people have to say in Yahoo Times here is a very, very interesting situation. Let's listen in real quick.
Area's housing market continues to cool off. The California Association of Realtors reports The median price for an existing single-family home in the region dropped 7% in June. With us now for more insight on the real estate trends across is Deidre Joyner, a realtor at Red Oak Realty in Oakland. And thank you for joining us. I wanted to ask you, we were just talking off camera briefly.
Yes.
Are we ever going to get to a spot where things will cool off so that the average income person can afford to buy here?
That's really hard to tell, and we're too soon in this market shift to really see where we're going to go. It's a very property specific and neighborhood specific market, so the high end really is selling strongly and solidly. Those buyers are less affected by the market downturn in terms of they can absorb maybe a higher interest rate. Maybe they're all cash. Maybe they want to take money out of their investment and put it in real estate. With a higher end buyer, typically, I have a buyer who might look for 8 to 12 months for a perfect house. So right now, they're not going to stop their search just because the market is a little different.
Right.
For the lower end buyer, things have changed some. But what's interesting is, while Oakland is down the median price from June to July 11%, Berkeley is flat.
Oh.
And things are still selling over the asking price, just not as much.
So now if you go into a house, you make an offer. It used to be that they were, they started, let's say, at $1 million and end up going for $1.2 million, $1.3 million. Is that happening still?
It is happening still in some neighborhoods, some properties. And, the seller has to accept the offer, right? So, I had a listing earlier this year. First offer was low. The seller rejected it. We got a few more offers, and then the price was up. So it's up over asking significantly, but it's still lower than what it would have been maybe 3 or 4 months ago.
What effect have higher interest rates had on this market?
People who were stretching to get into the market are more affected because their monthly payment is higher. That might have given somebody some pause to reassess what they're really looking for. It might give them pause to maybe take a step back, look at the market to see if there is a little bit more settlement and decline. If you are very property and neighborhood specific, you probably didn't stop your search. You're probably still looking, and you want a house in whatever neighborhood that is, maybe Rockridge, Berkeley Hills, North Berkeley, those type of houses. If you were looking in multiple areas across the board and were trying to get in a specific price range, you might maybe leisurely look, and you're not as pressed.
You're talking about neighborhoods in the East Bay. How close, when you get closer to the Silicon Valley, do the housing prices just go up? In other words, Mountain View is different from just across the bay in Newark. It's different from, let's say, El Cerrito. As you get farther away from the jobs in Silicon Valley, are the prices, affected?
Well, you have to excuse me. I specialize in the Oakland-Berkeley market, so I am not an expert on that Mountain View neighborhood. But what I will say is I am seeing a lot of people that are working in Silicon Valley moving. In fact, I just sold a house in Berkeley to people that work in the Silicon Valley.
I have one more question for you. No one wants a recession.
Right.
However, if it does happen, will housing prices go down where some people may be in a position to buy a house that they couldn't have during the boom?
Absolutely. I think especially if you're willing to explore neighborhoods that you maybe are not familiar with. For example, in Oakland, there's about 150 sub-neighborhoods. There are neighborhoods that people, may not know about, neighborhoods, beautiful housing stock, beautiful little neighborhoods that people should absolutely explore. I think right now is a really good time to maybe step into the market because I'm seeing maybe 2 offers on houses that would have had 8 or 9. I'm seeing houses that might have sold for 1.3, selling for 1.1. So, that is something that I think is a good opportunity. Then, when interest rates go down, you can refinance.
Right.
So you're not necessarily married to that interest rate.
There's a little bit of hope, it seems.
Absolutely. There's definitely hope. And if you think about it, markets like Berkeley, they're the first to recover and the last to decline. And people still want to live in the Bay Area. We're so centrally located. The weather's great. And I think people love our diversity and our culture.
Deidre Joyner, thank you for joining us today. Good insights.
I love being here.
I totally agree with her. It's a great time for buyers to jump into the market because again there is less competition and there is just even though there is a 5% interest rate, I think you're still in a good shoes. Again, if it's long term. If it's short term, you might want to go with an adjustable mortgage rate. But I would recommend usually for long term it would be a 15 or 30 years fixed. However, that's your decision. But as a buyer, I think you have a very good choice right now. And I do believe, like I said, that there's a possibility that the prices may start climb again after the new year if we're really seeing a plateauing of the price reductions, and if we're seeing a peak of new inventory coming in other words, if inventory is declining, we're going to see, because demand is going to be high and the inventory is low, it's just economics 101, that is the case. So if you have any questions about this, please let me know. Always feel free to call me at 310-918-2260. And one of the benefits, like I said, buyers will have, instead of having 8 to 10 offers like this lady mentioned on the TV, now buyers only have to compete with 1 or 2 offers. And if sellers are smart, they're not overpricing their homes right now, so they're selling faster, and you will actually get a decent deal. And again, for long term, it's just about building the equity. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, and if you could like, share, and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. Until next time, thank you so much.